Alright, so continuing on. I'll pick this wheel right here. I map this wheel and replace all the others. So we're only doing the one here. Hide everything like we've done in the past. I've done in the past. You've been watching me do. Okay. First off here, let's grab the tread. I want to be able to put tread on that. Or I would want to be able to. So, if I can get this to work out right. Okay. I'm going to grab all of this stuff here. Grab it from the other way. I got the Pro selection on. So, when I select from my right to my left, I can just do this. I'll select anything that the marquee touches. If I select from my left to my right, I'll only select what's within the box and not what's just touching it. If that makes any sense. I forget to turn that off every time, don't I? So, I'll just grow this out twice, that'll work. Okay, so now this is basically a cylinder shape, so I'm going to use the cylinder to do that. And let's turn on the checker pattern so we can see what's going on. And I'm going to switch over here to the scale tool, back up in my modeling tools, it's in the regular window. And just stretch this out. So we've got some stretching going on the sides, on either side. That's to be that'll be reckoned with easily. Okay, let's turn that cylinder off. It gave us a good start. I'm going to grab onto this row here. I'm going to also select the bottom row here. I'm going to go to my scale and Alright, I'm just going to scale this out. And scale this one out. There we go. That's roughly squarish. Let's grab all of this as a single selection and straighten selection. And it didn't do it for me, so awesome. It's some unpredictable things that happen in here. I will agree, it's not the most perfect thing in the world. So I'm going to go ahead and line all these up vertically, just so that my tread pattern I may put on here or whatever is going to look good. And the tedious process of grabbing each vertical row one by one. Is continuing on. Almost done. Would have been nice if that would have worked for me, to be able to straighten this all up as a single piece, but no dice. Okay, now this all looks pretty straight for the most part. I don't see any movement there, so okay, so that's the outer part done. So I think what I'll do here is I'll go to faces, select all this, Control I on the keyboard, that's going to give us the opposite, and then hold Alt. Let me get the okay, good, get that turned off. Hold Alt on the keyboard. Now got just this side here. I'll go ahead and now, if you've been paying attention, you'll know that there's going to be stretching on these sides here because they're perpendicular to that projection. But I imagine for the most part this is all going to remain it's all remain the same color except for this. I guess I missed this row here as part of the rubber still. So I'll just continue what I'm doing and then I'll extract that out. So this time I'll just select this center piece here. Grow, grow, grow. And this time I'll just map that. Okay. Do that again on this side. Not really sure what's going on here. I guess I had to baby it. Okay. That's that. So I'm going to grab this selection here. And, wow, this is not going to be fun. Guess I'll have to try to find the seam. Very close. This is the seam here. Okay, so let's just put that right on there. You know what? I just don't think this is going to work out right. I might have did all that straightening for no apparent reason, so let me select all of this again. I'll grow it one more time. That'll grab that edge and grab that cylinder again. Scale it out. Scale it, scale it, scale it. Something like that. There. Now we got all the rubber. All the rubber. And this time I'm not going to need to straighten it up. That's nice. Yeah, there's going to be some squishing and there's going to be some sizing. Definitely going to want to grab the first two and let's just drag those out. Grab this one. These two at the top, pull it out, just eyeballing it just to make it a little more even. Drag that out. Okay, so that's that there, and let's grab this and this. We'll lay them directly on top of one another. I'll grab them both. Get these aligned a little bit better. It's just that I can't see what I'm doing here. That'll be close enough. That'll work. Let's shimmy that down. Grab this whole thing as a group. You can see now that we get this. It's all mapped out. Let's just move this somewhere way far away. Close that. We'll collapse the modifier down. Unhide all. And this is our wheel here. So first off, what I'll do is select this wheel and hold Shift, and I'm going to pull a copy out. And I'm going to name this, I'm going to leave this one named this for right now. It's going to help me with the next step. Okay, from here, I'm going to just grab grab the quick align tool and I'll quick align that to what is the front tire. And this one's named LW001, so I know if I just keep clicking here, I'll get SW for steering wheel. I can delete, and now I'll just rename this part steering wheel. Okay, and just so we can make this easy, we'll delete this one now and use the working pivot trick, and we'll mirror this over. Okay, I had to pause there for a second. Okay, so now we have this wheel copied over. We're going to rename that right wheel to what it is. So now let's just select all the wheels and add them to that map list. Okay, so now if we, just to show you what's going on with those, just should be obvious by now, is they're all just sitting stacked together in the same position. You can see that if you highlight this, all three of them will light up. That means they're all existing in the same space, so when you add your rubber texture or anything like that, that'll be on all three wheels at once. That's all that's needed in that spot. So collapse that. Okay, so now if I remove this skin on the wing, see we got all these interior parts. I'm going to want to map this wing. Let's just grab the parts I'm worried about, which is everything's combined. That's good. Hide unselected. Now you can see, switch over here to what it looks like textured. This is the result I'm going for here. Is I want the grain to run down this, down the wood the way that it would in real life here. So, I mean, at least the way I think it would. So, you look in close here, you can see the grains running down this spar, and the rib grains moving this way with it. So I'm going to take that into account while mapping. So I'll go back to this project here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the editor. What's really handy to see, and this should go fairly quickly, the longest portion of this is going to take to just select things, because I'm not trying to make anything line up or anything to be perfect here. We're just trying to separate them out so that they'll have a wood grain texture on them. You can see on the other project, this here was a piece of wood by itself. I'm going to go ahead and quick planar map that. More than likely I'm going to be running the wood vertically in my final image, so I'm going to orient all of these pieces so with the idea that the wood grain will be running vertical in the map. So let me keep selecting here. Like I said, this will end up being the longest portion here. I believe the trailing edge comes all the way across. I've only built one model from scratch ever. Never completed it. I failed out at the stage where I put monocoat on it. Just couldn't get that done. That was quite a while ago though. Alright, so I've selected that tip, and I'm going to just orient that in the space and scale it with proportion here to the other wing part, because this is always going to get brought in to fit within this one-to-one. So I'm just continuing on. I know the wood grain is going to run straight down this spar all the way down. So I'm just going to select that, and that would be my wood sheathing that's going over that. So yeah, that should be good for that. Rotate this into place. You can see that it's as big as that 1:2 is. I keep calling it 1:1. Just shrink that down. It's not quite the same length. just throw this in this space here. Same token, probably should have selected this at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And that way I'll get the same relative scale. Just kind of put that in there. And so it continues on and on. I'm quite sure anybody that's watching this is going to get the idea of this pretty quickly, but this repetitive thing I'm doing here might not seem that necessary, but someone might want me to continue on, so I'll do that. All these are basically running in the same plane, so I'm going to grab all at the same time. And that will make the texturing a little bit faster, or the mapping a little bit faster. Texturing, is that the right word? Alright, there we go. I'm going to spin that in, just like so. Let's scale it. Okay, because I want this grain's running vertical. Grain's going to be running vertically on these pieces. They don't need to stay in relationship to one another, so let's see here. I'll grab all of these and move them in, and these, move them in, just to compress some space here. Let's continue on. Alright, now I'll get them fit in there somewhere. Okay, I can see another face here that's on this block here on the bottom, and also on the servo support. And we can grab these faces too, because the projection doesn't really care about looking through your geometry. It's only going to grab what you've selected and map that alone. So by doing so like this, that will get those mapped. Drag that on down, just throw them in here. I'm just not caring too much about how that all is going to turn out. Okay, now let's just go ahead and grab all of these rib faces. It's going to take some spinning around and just to get the faces that we want. My click finger's wearing out on me. Okay, so that's that face. I'm going to grab all the ones that are running parallel to one another and facing one another. Continue on selecting. This is a face in here. It's a face right there. I don't want to forget that one there. Okay, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to select all these. I'm going to pause. I'll be back. Okay, got them all selected up, and quick planer. There we go. And I'm going to rotate these 90 using this tool here. I'm going to scale them down to be more realistic. And those are all the ribs facing that direction. Now we got to select the other side. So I will be okay. So that's this selected. Same thing. And let's rotate it up. Scale it down. The same scale as the rest of these guys. There we go. Okay, so now I need to flip this over. And I'm going to do the same thing as in the other process. Right up to the green seam. Okay. It's going to be this section here. kind of funny to look at something that you did a long time ago. The differences that you've made since then. This is modeled a little differently than I would model it now. Okay. Just rotate that up. I want that nice and vertical. I can see the other piece that we did. Make it roughly the same height. Okay. And just keep on keeping on. All the parts here that green is going to run this direction. So, don't want to skip that spar. That spar definitely is going to have a different direction on it. And just like on the other side, I'm going to drag this up here, get this fairly horizontal, and compress them down. Scale these down, throw them in there somewhere. Okay. Just continue round selecting. The same direction. Alright, let's hit that. Take all the time to do this, and then when you apply the wood texture, you just cover over everything instantly will have that wood appearance to it. I'm going to select this guy here, and we'll select all these faces with it. Remember, it's going to see through all the other geometry and just see what's selected. So all these parallel faces, just going to grab them up. Alrighty. Anything else I can grab here? Got the inner wall. Now who's going to see inside there really, right? Who's paying attention to deep inside here? I'm definitely not paying attention to that. But it's there, so I'm going to map it. Okay, let's hit that. Roll that up into place. Do a little bit of scaling with it, not a whole lot. There we go. Okay, now it's hard to keep track of this stuff, but I know we haven't done this yet. So I'm going to go ahead and map that in. Oops. Rotate that up into place. Okay. Now a good way to check what hasn't been mapped yet is there's the pool of things that we've been grabbing from, and these are all the mapped parts so far. So we can kind of zoom in here and get a good look at what's not done yet. Okay, I can see from this direction there's a lot. So that's what we'll do next. Just keep selecting pieces. obvious, I know, but it's not every project that has this sort of detail going on to it. Okay. I think that's about all I can see that's running parallel like that. Although, I believe I have a face that's in here, that sneaky little face. It's going to be so hard to get. Yeah, it's on the back side of this. You can see this face here. It's not going to be easily selectable. So we'll have to just make that the last thing that doesn't get mapped, and automatically we'll have a way to select it. So okay, let's go ahead and run that in. Scale it down a little bit, put it in its own location. Boy, that looks complete, whatever that is. That's looks like I'm missing a lot. Okay, it's the inside. It's the inside of this guy here. So, go ahead and grab all this stuff. I'm going to grab the first half and then the second. Now it looks like the stuff's already been mapped. I had obviously had this mapped and done. It's a project that's already on the swaps, but I had to put a UV map clear on it. It doesn't look like that really does a great job of clearing the map. So, okay, so I want this green to run this direction. And this is a fairly hidden area, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these sections and start piling them up. And I'll just cross some over some other ones, and it's not. Don't want a perfect pile at all. Start piling them up. Okay, put that in with the group and scale it on down. And let's see, that means that the green would be running this way. Okay, so these need to be turned 90 degrees. Very good. So now I know these have to be what's left, but I believe I probably have that undesirable edge selected. So I'll just go and get this manually, and I'll quick planar map that. Drag it up so I can work on it a little bit, and just like before, stack, stack, stack. I don't know if this video's got to be about as fun to watch as paint drying. I want to turn these up, use that 90-degree turner up here, left or right, whichever you're looking for. Scale it down. Okay, now we still got some parts left, so let's see what this is. I'll just select that automatically. Nice. What are these parts? These are all the holes. These are all the holes that run through the wing. And what are those? And this would be the rest of this guy. It's not. This is, right? No, this is. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these guys, flip them 90, put them in the pile, go back in here, stack these bad boys up. No one's. These are the ones that no one's gonna see. No one's gonna see this at all. Flip that vertical. These are a little bit smaller in relation. Okay, left with these few parts up here. Let's move closer. See if we can figure out what's what. I know these are all holes. So, let's see what we can get to happen here. Alright. Got those to run right through the middle. I think that's all selected. Okay, let's go back to cylinder. Oof, what a mess. What a total mess. Let's run this in the X. Let's make it fit. No? Maybe it's just what I'm doing. Two holes that are intersecting here. It's probably a bit too much detail to matter. Okay, that'll work. Let's turn that off. Let's get that final hole. That's that one there. Cylinder. Again, it's probably some selection issue. It is. Okay, cylinder, much better. Forgot you can't do anything until you turn the cylinder off. Just going to go ahead and shrink these down, and shove them in there. I'm going to get some wood texture out of them one way or another. Okay, down to just a few more little details here, and that's math, so let's go ahead and quick planer this. Scale, scale, scale. No, I don't have any end grain. I don't think I'm going to be doing. Just the regular grains. Ooh, did this not get selected? Well, that's not good. I have to just make sure I select all this stuff up. That should bring that into place. Okay. So just got these details here. I gotta figure out what they are. Looks like something three-dimensional I probably could have deleted. It looks like that's a hidden object. That's what I do with objects that aren't going to show. I just squeeze them on down really tiny and I put them right here, and that's where they'll stay. Last piece. I see. That's another piece that I can just put off out of the way. It's not going to get shown. Squeeze that down. Okay. So let's throw that checker pattern on there and see what we got. Alright, we've got what looks like a wing here. All the checkers are all See all the checkers just right. Excuse me. Okay, so had to take a drink there. You can collapse that out. And while I'm here, this is actually my wing. I'm going to add that to the map. Unhide all. Now I want to select these two objects that have already been mapped and hide those. I'm going to grab this guy here and delete. Hide this skin here. And I'm going to do my copy over. Use working pivot and copy. Okay. And I'm going to rename that to the R and W. And while I'm here, I will transform that pivot. Looks like this. There we go. That's right. So now we got all this balsa land in there. Now I think I left that in the 1 to 1, 1 to 2, sorry. So I'm going to first let me add that to the map. Select both of these guys here. Go into that unwrap modifier again. Grab all these pieces and get them out of the center here. Way over here. There we go. Okay. Collapse that. Okay, looks like we got that part done. We are in orthographic again. So let's go through the process here in the back. And oops, I want to hide selected. And grab this piece. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did for the inner wing. This should be a little bit faster. It's a little simpler. So I purposely laid out this stuff so that each piece would have a natural layout for the wood. So as I'm making these pieces, I'm just going to go ahead and just cruise through it here. I'm doing them individually because obviously these pieces are going to be done individually. Or the wood will show individually. Okay. Also, I want this leading edge to be just so. If I could get this to work, that would be terrific. Yes, I'm going to go around the two here. Map that out. That's good there. Keeping on this idea here. Alright. Probably should start scaling this stuff a little bit more. Okay. That's about it for that. Put that up. Okay. So that would be that side. Go along here, grab these guys. Can read close, I got an extra division there. Turn that up. Just going to continue right along. this one to be separate. This is the way I want the wood to flow on this piece. Let's put that checker pattern on it right now. Okay. So I'm just going to continue. Let's grab this all together here. Flip it up. Put these two pieces here. Flip it up. Yeah, it's tedious. I know it's tedious. Just continuing on getting all these filler parts. Did I get all the inner parts there? Looks like I did. Okay, let's flip it over. Continue on this side. Tell this is working out right because all the checkers are running straight down each piece, just like the wood grain will be. Okay. Valley Nights. Getting close, believe it or not. I don't know why this seems to have taken about just as long. Select all this out. Okay, I'm not really sure what happened here. I guess that worked. Okay, spin that up. That one looking right. Scale this in. Okay, I'm not really sure what's going on with this, so do one and then it'll show itself. There we go. Throw it in the mix, squish it down. I'm thinking this is where that fuselage is placed. And dinky tiny piece. Turn it up. Okay. That is a mapped piece. So we can close this out. Now why did I say copy? I don't know. Collapse all. Unhide all. I want to hide these two pieces here. Grab this one and delete. And I'm going to take this piece here, use the working pivot, and copy it in. Let's transform that pivot. Go up here and rename this to RMHS. And let's make sure these are added to the map list. So we'll unhide all. Okay, now I believe all the rest of these parts on this plane are meant to be hard colored. On the original plane, I used a chrome or chromate color for the nose, the spinner. These wires, they're all done with materials here in Max, so not too much going to worry about that. So what I'll do now is just go to Mapped and select everything. I'm going to hide the unselected pieces. There'll be all those pieces that just won't need to be mapped. And let's add that unwrap again, and now we should be able to pack this UV editor. We don't really need to look at the plane anymore, so we can maximize this window. Okay, so now you just pretty much have to pack everything in here, and knowing exactly what you're going for. Now I thought that we flipped the elevators, but we must not have done that or copied it. So I'll have to check that out in a second. So see how much fuse I want to give this. Lower that right down. Okay, let's tuck the wheels in here. This part's pretty simple. I'll flip these up. Let's scale it down. These are the wings. I'm going to put the wings in here. Put those up here at the top. Tuck them in nice and tight. Let's move these in. Okay, another little jump cut there. And my wife come down here talking to me. Alright. Okay, so let's minimize this here down a little bit. I need to find out. Let's see. Grab all of these. And I'm going to deselect everything on this side, leaving just everything on that side, mirror, flip. Okay, now that's correct. A little room to zoom here. Get this to take up as much space as I can right here in this area. Slide it over. A little more scaling. There we go. Now, here's our wood. Just going to go ahead and mix these together. This wood up here, a big stack of wood. Doesn't sound good. Okay, and then this would be the canopy. So from this point, this was all I was going to map. Just scale some stuff, get things to fit a little bit, get a little more detail on things. So I'm going to pull these back out. I'm going to scale up. What did I leave behind? Okay, and then I'm going to scale up fuselage. A little more detail in the fuselage there. And let's just put all these parts. I'll tell you what, I'm going to scale down the wings a tad. Fit in the horizontal. And let's turn that. No rules to this at all, actually. It's just any way that you want to fit them in here. Flip these like this. These guys just sitting here. Okay, so basically we're looking at all of our parts laid out in a flat manner for us to color. So what's left to do is to output the maps. I'll show you how to do that, and then mapping should be complete. So I'm going to go to Tools and Render UV Template. The width and height is going to be what you want to work with in Photoshop. It has to be a multiple of 256, so 256, 512, 1024, 2048, or 4096 size map. I recommend wholeheartedly that you always start with a 4096 doing your artwork, and you can reduce the size, and you won't deal with pixelation. You can't scale up. You can scale down, but you can't scale up without pixelation. So the first thing we want to do is make a solid colored map here. So this is going to be 4096. We want to force two-sided, and that's just so if one of these happens to be flipped the other way, it'll still show up on the render that comes out. We don't need to show any overlap, and I don't want to show any visible edges or seam edges for this map. So once I hit Render UV Template, it's going to calculate, and it's going to come up with a map which came up on my other screen here. Shrink that down. Okay, so this is the finished map. You click this little corner button up here, and it's fine to save this as a JPEG. And I usually call this my base, and that's for selections. And let's just save that right there on the desktop. That's fine, highest quality. Alright, now we're going to render out one more map, and that's just so that we can see where all of our lines are. We can see where things are laid out. Like for instance, where this hole is, that won't show up that well. I don't know, it's just something that I always do. So we're going to go to None, so we're not going to render any solid colors whatsoever, but we do want to show the visible edges. So we're going to render this template. Again, it shows up outside my screen, and it looks like this. If you get in close, you can see it's not dotted in any way. It's just the way it looks from a distance. So if it looks like this, not to worry, still it's going to work. And this is what I like to call mesh. And I'll save that out. Okay, from here I can close out this window here and collapse all. Yes. And we now have a completely mapped object. Now remember that you've copied everything over, and we've rectified the pivots back to the world, so things like these ailerons and elevator are now going to have incorrect pivots, so you'll have to reset those pivots. And while we're here, I'll show a little method really quick. This pivot is how I wanted it already. I copied this over, and this had to get straightened with the world. Really the axis that we're worried about mainly here is the Z. So I'm going to go to the Rotate tool, and with View and my reference coordinate system, I'm going to look at the Z rotation, and I'm going to copy this number here, and then I'm gonna select the other aileron and paste that in, only I believe I don't need the negative. This would be a positive rotation. And that's set it in that way. So let's go look at these at this angle. And it looks like there's some rotation on all axes. So let's just go ahead and copy the y and x rotations as well. So I want the x rotation and the x rotation here. Let's see what this does. Okay, that tilted it down, right? And finally the y rotation, 2.169. Okay, and then here I'm going to want to do that, but I'm going to add a negative to it. There we go. Now these pivots are exactly the same. So that same process is going to hold true back here if there's any kind of angle or tilt. It looks like since there's no change there, those pivots are fine. Also, we broke the parenting that you may have done. You'll have to reparent things up to get things back to where they were after they were mapped, but if you've done exports before this point. Okay, so hey, look, I did not rename this. Probably didn't rename a lot of this stuff, but anyways, you get the point. That's basically all that you have to do for most cases in mapping. Sometimes you're gonna have to tweak individual vertices in the mapping itself just to get things right, but for the most part, that should get you through most projects. Thanks a lot.